coal and petroleum for standard 8. We use various materials for our basic needs. Some of them are found in nature and some have been made by human efforts. So there is a list of various materials that can be seen in as natural and man-made. Now the question is, does this list include air, water, soil and minerals? Since all these are obtained from nature, they are all called natural resources. Okay. Now, can air, water and soil be exhausted by human activities? What do you say? No, it cannot be exhausted. Why? Because there is always a change, a recycling of all these materials. You have already studied about this water in class 7. Is water a limitless resource? If you say yes, water is actually a limitless resource. In the light of the availability of various resources in nature, natural resources can be broadly classified into two kinds. One, inexhaustible natural resources and exhaustible natural resources. Inexhaustible, something which cannot be completed. Okay, these resources are present in unlimited quantity in nature and are not likely to be exhausted by human activities. Here you should understand the meaning called exhausting or exhaustible. That means to complete. That's the point. There is a completion of the whole. If I have 1,000 rupees in my bank account and if I keep using that, one fine day it is going to vanish. This is exhaustible. What do you mean by inexhaustible? If I keep on adding that amount back into the account, which will keep it as inexhaustible. Now when it comes to exhaustible natural resources, the amount of these resources in nature is very, very limited. They can be exhausted by human activities. One of the examples are forest, and then wildlife, and then minerals, coal, petroleum, natural gas, etc. Now let me come back to coal. You may have seen coal or heard about it. It is as hard as stone and is black in color. In this case you can see this. Coal is one of the fuels used to cook food. Earlier it was used in railway engines to produce steam to run the engine. It is also used in thermal power plants to produce electricity. Coal is also used as a fuel in various industries. Now, story of a coal. Okay, that means let me come back to this word again. So they are talking about a coal which is used as a fuel in steam engines. In a steam engine, we will have a cylinder, a huge cylinder where it is filled with water, with a lukewarm water. Finally, they will start heating it. They go to boiling, and that boiling will increase the temperature. And because of the high temperature, there is always a tendency to push. There is a work output. Using that, the pistons were rolled, and by that, the wheels of the train also rolled. Thereby, the output was heavy. About 300 million years, the earth had dense forests in low-lying wetland areas. Due to natural process like flooding, these forests got buried under the soil. As more soil deposited over them, what happened? They were compressed. The temperature also rose as they sank deeper and deeper. Under high pressure and high temperature, dead plants got slowly converted to coal. As coal contains many carbon, the slow process of conversion of dead vegetation into coal is called carbonization. I said about carbonization. Since it was formed from the remains of vegetation, It is also called as fossil fuels. Let us go to figure 3.2 here, which shows a picture of a coal mine. When heated in air, coal burns and produces mainly carbon dioxide, CO2. Then coal is processed in industry to get some useful products such as coke, coal tar and coal gas. All these things are related to carbon only. Understand? First is the coal, the black one what you saw. Then comes coal tar, what we see on the road, which is also called as bitumen. Bituminous coal. And next one is coal gas. The coal gas, that is the gas which we use for nowadays, liquefied petroleum gas, and one more is compressed natural gas, CNG. Now let us first study about coke in this particular chapter. It is a tough, porous and black substance. Porous means it's a material which contains lots of gaps, holes, and these holes will contain oxygen. It is an almost pure form of carbon. Coke is used in the manufacture of steel and in the extraction of many metals. Coke, it is a part of preparation of metal called iron. Iron, which they manufacture in Bhadravati iron and steel industry. Okay, and the cylinder used is a blast furnace, where equal amount of coke will be utilized here just to keep this boiler boiling, or keep this burner burning. I can put it in that way. Then coal tar. It is a black thick liquid with an unpleasant smell. It is a mixture of about 200 substances. Products obtained from coal tar are used as starting materials for manufacturing various substances used in everyday life and in industry. For example, synthetic dyes, that means the colors what we see. Okay, then comes drugs. Some of the chemical substances we use it as tablets for huge things. And then explosives, that is TNT, trinitrotoluene. We have one name for that, TNT. You would have seen Popeye, the sailor man, one story will be there. In that he will use that TNT device to throw on somebody else, the enemies, let us say. And then comes perfumes. Perfume what we use, they contain hydrocarbons. That's why they get sprayed very easily. And next thing comes plastics, then paints, then photographic materials. Now what we see here is a digital camera, where so many pictures we take, we delete and so on. But 25 years before, we didn't had such cameras. We had a photographic plate or a film roll, where you will be able to take only one still photo of any kind, and you cannot turn left, right, and you cannot blur it, or you cannot even edit things like that. Once exposed, gone. Okay, we had only a limited of 35 photos, and a skilled photographer will take all the 35 correctly. Unskilled will lose minimum of 10 to 15 photographs being wasted. Okay, so those were the days. Next comes coal gas. It is obtained during the processing of coal to get coke. It is used as a fuel in many industries situated near the coal processing plants. Then comes our favorite petroleum products. You know that petrol is used as a fuel in light automobiles such as motorcycles, scooters and cars. Heavy motor vehicles like trucks and tractors run on diesel. Petrol and diesel are obtained from a natural resource called petroleum. The word petroleum is derived from rock, that is petra means rock and oleum means oil. Petra, rock, and oleum or petroleum, right? Oleum is nothing but oil. Then it is mined from between the rocks under earth as shown in the figure 3.4. Let me see the 3.4 here. Yeah, here we have a petroleum and a natural gas deposit where you can see this wells. So you can see this two tubes which is of well, and they target this well for a layer which is called gas one, and the second one goes to oil. And below that oil you see again there is water only. Understood? So we have this sand region just below that. It is also called as impervious rock, and then a gas region, and then an oil region, and then a water region, and down we have a reservoir of rocks. That means this earth is nothing but a combination of molten structures. When Aditya L1 comes with a very good number of photographs, we will come to know what is the source of the sun first. And if we understand sun better, we will also try to understand the remains what we have in the earth here, because both are look-alike, both are from the same. That's what the people say. Now, do you know how petroleum is formed? Petroleum was formed from organisms living in the sea. As these organisms died, their bodies settled at the bottom of the sea and got covered with layers of sand and clay. And over millions of years, absence of air, high temperature and high pressure transformed these dead organisms into petroleum and natural gas. Then again, look at this picture again. You see that the layer containing petroleum and gas, okay, is above that of water. Why is it so? If you see, that's another part. The world's first oil well was drilled in Pennsylvania, USA in 1859. 8 years later, in 1867, oil was struck at Makum in Assam, in India. Okay, oil is found in Assam, Gujarat, Mumbai, then high and in the river basins of Godavari and even Krishna also. Then comes naturally we saw the well of oil. Now it has to be refined. Why is a refining? Petroleum is not just a petrol, diesel, and several varieties of gases and several petrochemicals. One example is we use Vaseline. That Vaseline is also nothing but a petroleum. Okay, and we use Vaseline because of its what is that? The moisture. It's a moisture. Okay, the property of moisture, the property which keeps this lips moisture. Okay, then separating the various constituent fractions of petroleum is known as refining. It is carried out in a petroleum refinery, we see here. Okay, then I will go back to this one, natural gas. Natural gas is a very important fossil fuel because it is easy to transport through pipes. Natural gas is stored under high pressure as compressed natural gas. CNG is used for power generation. It is now being used as a fuel for transport vehicles because it is less polluting and it is a cleaner fuel also. Now let me go back to this CNG, compressed natural gas. Okay, now look at this table here. Petroleum gas in liquid form is LPG and uses fuel for home and industry. Petroleum is again a constituent of petroleum, motor fuel, aviation fuel, solvent for dry cleaning. When it comes to aviation fuel, we call them as ATF, aircraft turbine fuel. And what is that fuel we have there? If you see, it is white kerosene. Okay, the fuel is white kerosene. Fuels for stoves, that is, the next one is kerosene. We have fuel for stoves, lamps, and for jet aircrafts. Then comes diesel, fuel for heavy motor vehicles, electric generators. Then lubricating oil, we have lubrication. They are talking about grease. The white or the black grease what we use for our machinery products. And then we have paraffin wax, we just know we talked about, which is nothing but Vaseline, then a candle, then an ointment. Then comes bitumen. Bitumen is nothing but paints and road surfacing, the tar which we use for the roads. Then the great advantage of CNG is that it can be used directly for burning in homes and factories where it can be supplied through pipes. That's why in Bangalore city, in several areas, you see the pipelines has just started flowing across the streets. And we have this Kaveri water just getting spread out to every home. There is going to be a day which is short in a number of years now. We will find all these pipes are going to get joined with kitchen. Directly we will have a supply of gases. The natural gas is also used as a, one more thing. The great advantage of CNG is that it can be used directly for burning in homes and factories where it can be supplied through pipes. Such a network of pipelines exists in Vadodara, Gujarat, and some parts of Delhi and other places. Natural gas is also used as a starting material for the manufacture of a number of chemicals and fertilizers. India has vast reserves of natural gas. In our country, natural gas has been found in Tripura, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, and in Krishna Godavari Delta. That means what? All these areas, which is Tripura in the eastern part of India, Rajasthan in the western part of India, Maharashtra, and in Krishna Godavari Delta. We find all this. And then there is a question: can coal, petroleum, and natural gas be prepared in the laboratory from dead organism? The answer is no. Then, no, their formation is a very slow process, and condition for their formation cannot be created in the laboratory. And let us start with some natural resources which are limited. You have studied in the beginning of the chapter that some natural resources are exhaustible, like fossil fuels, forests, minerals, etc. You know that coal and petroleum are fossil fuels. It required the dead organisms millions of years to get converted into these fuels. On the other hand, known reserves of these will last only a few hundred years. Moreover, burning of fuels is a major cause of our air pollution. The air is also linked to global warming. It is therefore necessary that we use these fuels only when absolute necessary is there. This will result in better environment, smaller risk of global warming, and their availability for a longer period of time. Then, in India, Petroleum Conservation Research Association, or PCRA, advises people how to save petrol. Now look at this. Some of the tips they have given. Drive at a constant and moderate speed as far as possible. Then switch off the engine at traffic lights or at a place where you have to wait for a long time, and ensure correct tire pressure. Okay. Then ensure regular maintenance of the vehicle. And here we come to the closure of this classroom. Thank you.